Hi, and welcome to December 2022 Patreon's reward video. Okay, so let's get to it really quick. I'm going to try to make it as brief as possible. Um so I got COVID a couple of weeks ago, like 2 weeks ago, which is making this video late coming out. Um so really what kind of happened was that I got COVID, and it was just a regular cold, and it felt like a regular cold, and it was fine. But somewhere along the line, I ended up getting strep throat on top of the cold. So what ended up happening was that the strep throat completely and totally complicated the healing process of getting over the cold, getting over COVID. So what happened was that, if you don't know what strep throat is, it's a bacterial infection. So COVID is a virus. There's not really much you can do about it. You just have to drink liquids and rest, right? That's how you just get over basically any cold. And then, but the strep throat, what does it do? The strep throat makes swallowing agonizing pain. And I'm talking daggers in your throat, agonizing pain anytime you swallow. Okay, so if I cough, agonizing pain. If I swallow my own spit, agonizing pain. If I talk, agonizing pain. If I eat, agonizing pain. So the 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 two things that I needed, rest and liquids, I couldn't do because agonizing pain. Okay, so how do you get rid of the strep throat? Well, it's a bacterial infection, which means that you need to get antibiotics, which meant that I needed to go. I went to urgent care to try to get antibiotics. I got the antibiotics. And that, by the way, is where I found out I had COVID also. So first, before I could even get rid of the cold, I needed to get rid of this strep throat. And this complicated things so much because, on top of the fact that I was taking antibiotics to get rid of the strep throat, the antibiotics were also killing off all the good bacteria in my body that was helping heal me from the cold. So I'm actively attacking the strep throat bacteria while destroying the rest of the bacteria that I needed to heal from the COVID. But I still needed to kill the bacteria that wasn't allowing me to swallow. By the end of the first day of getting the antibiotics, I was already able to swallow. I was already able to start healing. It was almost immediate. It was like bam, like almost, it was insane. Like I was just like, whoa. And then but I needed to take the antibiotics for, I forgot, 5 days or something like that, 7 days. So there was just like this crazy amount of conflicting healing things happening in me for the whole week. It was just terrible, and at the same time I was still working, and so it was just like, it was brutal. It was absolutely brutal. Like, the COVID was like, once finally I was able to get rid of the strep throat, the COVID, getting rid of that, getting rid of the cold is just normal. Like, it was just like, okay, now I could just drink and rest and drink and rest. And all I have left now is a little bit of a sore throat, as happens when you cough, and a cough. That's what I got. So I got a cough and a little bit of sore throat from the coughing. So the that's the story behind being sick. But I was absolutely taken out, bedridden. I was working in bed. Um, it was brutal, and it wasn't so much the COVID as the strep throat that really messed everything up, because I was dealing with the cold fine. Like, I didn't even realize that it was any kind of special type of cold until I got tested. That's how mild the COVID symptoms were. But the strep throat ruined everything. So that's the story behind being sick and being late with the rewards. Which, if you're watching this in the future, it doesn't really matter. You guys don't even you'll never know that any of this stuff was late. Anyway, all right. So let's talk about the art that I did get done. Like I said, I got sick, and so I didn't really get a lot of stuff done. And on top of that, I you know, the commissions that I do take up the most amount of time, which makes it seem like I'm doing almost nothing. But it takes so long to do these commissions that it takes up most of my month just to do the image. So here's a sketch that I did do when I was kind of had a little bit of some downtime. I did some sketches for some ideas that I had for the next commission. This was done with the fountain pen here. And what I did with this was I took this is drawn from a photo of a sculpture. So I just started in one, like on an eyeball, and then I made my way around, just eyeballing the reference and just kind of guessing where I should lay my pen. So that was the exercise that I did and then here, this is taken from an icon, a very, very famous icon of the Pantocrator. And this icon is very unique. And again, I started with an eyeball and I kind of made my way around. There's no underdrawing. I was just kind of slowly kind of making my way around, eyeballing the spacing. So if you actually look at the actual the actual icon and then you look at mine, it's definitely off, right? But this is a very famous Pantocrator face, because one eye is facing straight and the other eye is kind of drooping down. So the left eye is drooping slightly down while the right eye is facing straight. And so there is I don't know, a controversy, but there is there's like a cynical way of viewing it, and then there is a spiritual way of viewing it. And I've heard one person say it doesn't even matter if you're trying to be cynical about it. It still is accidentally spiritual. So, what I mean is that because the one eye is facing forward and the other one's kind of facing left, the cynical person will look at it and say, man, that artist totally blew it and screwed up. While looking at it as a symbolic, more spiritual idea, it's the idea of left and right, of the up and down, and that's really heavily symbolic in iconography, of the right hand and the left hand of Mary, and it's like Peter and Paul, right hand, left hand, Mary and John the Baptist, right hand and left hand, and so there's the red angel and the blue angel, right hand and left hand, the authority versus law, left hand and right hand. So there's like all these kind of left hand and right hand symbolism. And so the people who are looking at the possible mistake or deliberate, some people say it's deliberate. The artist deliberately made one eye looking slightly down and the other one looking straight. Some people say it was a mistake. And then there's like I said, there's that interpretation of, even if it was a mistake, it's still symbolically sound. So that's one of the reasons why I painted, or I wanted to draw this particular Pantocrator face. It's because it's a little weird. It's a little weird. There's a little bit of a story behind it, and it's very interesting. And so I really wanted to play with my fountain pen, really, and try to get some effects and see how it works. And it was one of those things where I really just wanted to sketch something. I didn't know what to sketch, so I just said, okay, I'm gonna sketch this icon. So that's that. And notice I was playing around here with the etching kind of shadow shape, the strokes of the pen here. I don't know if I like any of this, but I mean, that's the whole point of sketching in a sketchbook, is to mess up and just to play. So yeah. All right, let's get on to the next one. This is the postcard for this month. Excuse me. All right. So this is this month's postcard. And the winner of this month's postcard is Anastasia. Congratulations, Anastasia. You won this postcard. I did make a video of the making of this postcard, which will be dropping soon. But again, this is just me trying to do a cartoony coloring. And I always find drawing darker skin very tricky. Very, very tricky. I find that it's a little bit more difficult, and part of the reason why it's more difficult, and I think it's just I just have to learn the process, is that like I said this before, when skin turns darker, when shadows land on skin, it doesn't go brown, it doesn't go gray, it goes red. It goes redder, right? So when you're using brown already, when you're using a darker skin color, a more brown skin color, you want it to go redder. You want it to go warmer and darker, and but you don't want it to go mud. And it's already kind of so trying to keep that blood in the skin look and feel in darker skin is something that I don't feel comfortable having wrapped my head around how to do that. So I think this is, see how right here it gets really red. I think that's working. I think that's it. Like this is the where you get, and I've seen people as a foundation of the shadow shapes use purple, and I think that the reason you use purple is because it's such a, or violet, it's because it's such a warm combination of blue and red, and if it's a little bit more to the warm, when you do add the brown skin, the darker brown skin, it really makes the skin vibrant and beautiful. So I think that's the tricky part for me of painting darker skin, and it's just it's tricky, like for me, like to wrap my head around how to make it more warm and beautiful, right? So, but Anastasia, you won this postcard. All right, so here we have the commission for this month. Here's the hymn. So this was a very tricky hymn to make an image from. So let me talk about this hymn in particular, and then why I chose it, and what I was gonna choose, and then I'll explain why I chose not to, or maybe you'll figure it out on your own. All right, so this is Hymns on Paradise. This is the second hymn, and of the second hymn, it's the second verse of the second hymn, Hymns on Paradise, and the hymn says this: "Forge here on earth and take the key to paradise. The door that welcomes you smiles radiantly upon you. The door, all discerning, conforms its measure to those who enter it. In its wisdom it shrinks and it grows, according to the stature and rank attained by each person. It shows by its dimensions whether they are perfect or lacking in something." So basically you enter there's a, forge a key to paradise. So in a lot of the iconography, paradise is walled off garden. Eden is a walled off garden, right? And then there's a wall around it, and in order to enter paradise you go through a gate. And so in a lot of the iconography, I'm going to be making one that looks kind of in that tradition. There's often a cherubim guarding the door to paradise, protecting the way into paradise. Mostly not just to keep Adam and Eve out, but to protect them from consuming the tree, the fruit of the tree of the of life, so that they aren't frozen eternally in their sin. Right? You have an opportunity to repent and be free of the sin before you consume the fruit of the tree of life. So the gate here being that you make a key, the key being the life that you live, and then according to how you live your life, the gate grows. If you become very virtuous, the gate, you will be bigger than the gate, and the gate has to grow with you because you're so virtuous. If you're not as virtuous, but you still manage to get into paradise, it will shrink down to your level, right? That's the idea, where you're working throughout your life with your relationship with God, which is Jesus being the relationship with Jesus Christ is paradise. But this is symbolic of that relationship. You will enter through the gate that the connection, the relationship, how big or how strong the relationship is how big and how small the gate is, and then you go through the gate. So it's a very straightforward little verse in the hymn. Okay, but I really wanted to do the hymn before that, the verses before that. Now, there was a huge problem with the imagery that I would have to do or have to draw if I did the first verse. Let me read to you the first verse, and I want you to pay attention to the words. And then I want you to see why I didn't choose to do the image of this first verse, in spite of the fact that I desperately wanted to do it. Okay, so here I'm going to read you the verse before this one. Blessed is he for whom paradise yearns. Yes, paradise yearns for the man whose goodness makes him beautiful. Okay, so far, nothing crazy. Here it comes. It engulfs him at its gateway. It embraces him in its bosom. It caresses him in its very womb. For it splits open and receives him into its inmost parts. But if there is someone it abhors, it removes him and casts him out. This is the gate of testing that belongs to him who loves mankind. So if you didn't catch all the sexual imagery in that, I don't know what you just listened to, but there was definitely a part in this hymn where the person, paradise, yearns for a man whose goodness makes him beautiful. And then when the person goes into paradise, paradise basically makes love to the person. Paradise is like, just takes the person and then there's like a conjugal act that happens. And I mean, how can I do a visual of that? And then on top of that, the verse at the end, it's like, but if you're not worthy, you get the boot. And it's like, it kicks you out of bed, basically. It's like, It removes him and casts him out in is the so. But if there's someone it abhors, it removes him and casts him out. So I really wanted to do the visuals of that, but how can I do it and not make it as erotic as the hymn implies? And so I thought it would be too distracting to actually do that image. It wouldn't take you to the place where the image is meant to take you, because when you write it in a hymn with words like that, it's meant to give you a sensation of ecstasy. The whole idea being that when you enter paradise, it's ecstasy, right? And sexual pleasure being an example of an ecstatic state that people experience. So it was meant to be a juxtaposition. It's meant to be because and of course that ecstatic state is meant to be an icon of the actual relationship of entering paradise. So it's an appropriate symbol. It is the appropriate symbol because, like I said in the previous video, the sexual union is an icon of the ultimate union between a human being and God, right? So that's the story behind this image. I meant originally to draw the first verse, and the more I kind of thought about it, the more I realized that no matter what I did, one, if I did exactly what was intended, which was draw a very sexual image, it would be too distracting. And if I downplayed that sexual image and just made it a person in a gate and a person getting kicked away from the gate, it completely didn't capture anything of the verse. Like it completely ignored the ecstasy part of the verse. And so I decided to go with the quote unquote safer verse 2, where it was just about the gate being bigger and smaller depending on the way that you establish a relationship with God. So so that's this hymn. All right, let's move on. So this is an animation test that I did a long time ago. It was done maybe on Maya 3.0 or 3.5, right? So this was a long time ago. I just recently found this video, and I thought that I would just share it with all the patrons here, and I'd give you this test. So it's a very self-explanatory little test. There's no audio, there's no sound. I didn't put any sound on it, but it should be pretty self-explanatory. This guy sees this and he's going to try to move it. And so the idea behind this this test was for me to use a computer to try to capture weight, gravity, and also to do something a little bit animated, like a little bit cartoony, because doing stuff on computer can be very floaty and things like that. And so I wanted to add some snap. I wanted to add some element of gravity, of strength, of things like that. And I also wanted to play around with motion and cartooniness. So here, this is what that was the approach. This is what I was trying to capture here. So walk. Trying to capture thought and thinking. So there, that's the test. So and it was me testing out. Okay, so animating a walk is a really difficult thing. Making it feel right and not making it stiff, right? That was, and then not, and keeping everything alive even when the person's thinking. And then a run, and then the timing of hitting the thing and then falling over. So that was that. That was this test. So you guys are going to get to see this. Are you going to get to have this little video? And that's it. So that's this month's postcard. Rewards. I'm sorry there isn't any more. But like I said, doing this particular image was very, very time consuming. And I immediately got to work on the next one. And I still have another one to even begin. So, but that's it. Thank you so much for putting up with me and getting these late rewards. Like I said, I was in bed with COVID and there was only so much I can do, and I couldn't speak. That was the other thing. I couldn't really talk. Talking was, I mean, I couldn't record a video. I couldn't do anything. So, all right. Thank you for watching, and I will talk to you next time. All right. Bye.